Every fashion professional you see today and admire was once a beginner who found it difficult to thread the sewing machine, who found it difficult to sew a straight line, who found it difficult to do a lot of things, basic things on the sewing machine. But today, the reverse is the case. We look up to them, we admire them, we want to be like them. And you ask yourself, can I get to this stage in tailoring, in fashion designing? Is it possible that I can get to do things so well with the rate I'm going at this point? If this is you who is a beginner and asking these questions, in this video I'm going to giving you 4 to 5 tips that can help you, will help you just as it did to scale through as fast as possible. In this case, we're going to be talking about things that you may be doing wrongly at this point that is delaying your learning speed. Okay, so once you identify these things and you put your mind to them and act on them, stop the ones you can stop and improve on the ones you have to improve, I bet you're going to improve and learn as fast as possible. I'm going to be sharing my own journey and story in this video. Okay, so let's get right into it. Stay to the end of this video to get the best part of it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Justice. On this channel, we sit and talk fashion tips, fashion business tips, sewing tips, fashion lifestyle, and many more. Please consider subscribing and watch my video to the end to get the best part of it. Okay, number one thing I'm going to be telling us is to be consistent in our learning journey. Okay, so while I was learning, I can tell you that I was very consistent. I'll go to the shop. I started learning from a roadside tailor. I go to the shop every morning, come back in the evening. I put my mind in what I was learning. I was so consistent. But at a point when it seemed like the whole thing is beginning to make sense, get interesting, the woman I was learning from stopped sewing. Like she stopped sewing. She changed her line of business. And that affected me. I stopped learning. By then, I didn't know anything about YouTube. I didn't know anything about online training, and I didn't go to another tailoring shop. So I just practically traveled, and that was the end of learning. By the time I came back to start, it was as if I'm starting afresh. Like I literally started afresh. Even though in my head I thought I knew so many things, I thought I knew a lot of things, but when it was time to practice, it was it was a whole mess. Like I practically started afresh. Now starting afresh, I was serving at the point. I was not consistent. I was serving, working, and all that. I wasn't consistent in the second place, and you can imagine what it is. It's just like every other subject, every other thing we know. If you are not consistent, if you don't practice as often as possible, you're definitely not going to get ahead. You will keep coming back to the things that you should have left. Okay, so that affected me for some time until I was able to pick up, stay at a place, and continued to this moment. Okay, so if you are the type who is learning, you're not consistent. Let's say your teacher did not travel in this case, but on your own you're not consistent in going to the shop or going to the academy. You don't go to classes always, you don't practice always. Continuous improvement is going to be hard for you. You find yourself going back to the things that you should have learned. You want to continue to, it's just like running in a circle. Okay, so if you are learning at this point, please, your number one focus is to be consistent in going to the classes, consistent in learning the job that you have at hand, consistent in practice. If you're not doing this, you're going to find it difficult to move to the next step. So pay attention to how consistent you are. Don't give excuses as to why you won't go to class. No matter how hard it is, try as much as possible. If you have your textbook, make sure you read and study it on a regular basis every day. Make sure you have something new to learn. be consistent. Don't learn today, leave tomorrow, learn next week, leave 2 weeks. That is going to affect you. Okay, so number two, as you begin to learn, as it begins to make sense, one thing I'm going to encourage you to do is to stop running from one method to another. Okay, so once you learn something and you've mastered it, try to write the process down and continue to use that process as often as possible. Whenever you have something like that to do, use the same process. All over social media, you're going to find different method of doing a particular thing. If you are a beginner and you jump from one method to another method, you're going to find it difficult. Learn one method, master it, write it down so you don't forget. Continue to use it until you've learned everything about it, until you can teach another person over and over. You can teach a younger person over and over. Learn what you will do and you will make a mistake before you even make the mistake, and learn what you will do, you will get it before you even start doing it. Then you can try other methods of achieving that. But once you've not mastered it, going to another method, it is going to be like you're starting afresh. That is going to delay the speed of your improvement. Okay, don't jump from one different tutor to another different tutor. I know YouTube is comprises a lot of persons who are teaching the same thing with different methods, but if possible, stick to one or two persons who are using the same kind of method that you've learned. In that case, you will not find it difficult to move ahead. I hope this is very beneficial to you. Like I mentioned, continue to write down your process. If you learned how to take measurements, write the process of how you took or how to take measurements. Let's assume you want to get a perfect neckline and you've used one method and it gave you a very nice fit. Please write down the formula and continue to use that formula. Once you write it down, you will find it difficult to forget it. Even when you forget, go back to it and use it over and over again. Have your notebook and begin to write formulas and methods down. All right, so we'll move over to the next one. So I've talked about consistency, writing down a method, and improving on one method before you move to another method. That is three methods that I've shared with us already. Now, another thing I'm going to be sharing with us is you don't have to be the type that learns and never practice. If you go to your fashion academy or your tailoring shop and you're the type that once you leave the premises, nothing else concerns you until the next time that you'll be getting back there, you're going to find it difficult. Okay? So once you learn something, you learn a method of doing something, you may learn a method of cutting. Go home, even if it's a piece of paper, try to practice that again. Try to teach someone. If the person is close to you, try telling the person how to go about this. It's going to help. If you watch so many videos here on YouTube and you're not practicing it, as a beginner, you're going to have issues with it. That is if you do not practice. I'm not saying you're not going to grow, but if you do not practice, there's no two ways about it. You're definitely going to forget. Okay, so practice makes for improvement. Whatever it is that you've learned, whatever it is that you've been taught, get a piece of fabric and practice on a smaller version. The smaller version is going to help you to master the design, even though the fit might not be there. But if you have a small miniature, that is the essence of the miniature, the small mannequin. Okay, get the measurements of the small mannequin. You're going to sew for the small mannequin using the design and the store and the methods that you've been taught. Try to practice and practice and practice. There is no laziness in learning. If you're lazy in learning, it's going to be difficult. If you're the type that gives excuses, it's going to be difficult. So once you've started doing something, commit yourself to it. Give yourself a target and you're going to meet up with it. Now, the very important part of it, like I said, stay to the end. The very important part of it is start from the very beginning. Like I was telling you, my process of learning, how my teacher changed another business. Now, from the very first day I started learning with how to make a bustier. Imagine a total beginner coming to cut a bustier and sewing a bustier. Okay, it was as if there was a magic going on, a very beautiful nonsense. Like I did not understand. All right. So when you're going to learn, make sure the syllabus starts from the very beginning of introduction to the sewing machine, how to pedal the sewing machine, how to take measurements. Take it one step at a time. One step at a time. Do not jump the process. Okay. One step at a time. Once you master a process, you move on to the next process, you move on to the next process. Just like climbing a ladder, you start from the lowest one, you continue to climb until you get to the top. By the time you get to the top, you wouldn't realize how easy and fast it is until you look down and realize that you've gone far. Okay, but once you are at the lower part and you're looking at the top, it will be very difficult for you to climb up. So when you're going to learn, start from the very beginning. Don't start learning with the hard parts of learning. If you start learning with the hardest parts, it's not going to help at all. So learn to look into the syllable of your teacher. Ask them questions. What are they going to be starting with? What is the course outline like? What is the timetable like? What is the process of the learning like? In that case, it's going to help. Okay. And of course, I realized that most persons say they are self-taught, and while some are self-taught in the sense that they teach themselves, right? We're going to get there, but to make it faster in this life, in everything that you want to do, especially in tailoring, it is easier if you get someone to teach you, someone who has already done the process for you. All he or she is coming is to teach you. You're going to move as fast as possible. So if you have the means, get someone to teach you. If you have the money, attend a good fashion academy that will take it one process at a time. Learn, let your teacher know how to explain things. Another major issue I faced while I was beginning to learn was that my teacher was finding it difficult to explain some things. So all we do is just watch and ask questions, but then you ask questions based on what is making sense to you, not what you don't even understand how it's going. Okay, so get someone who explain the process to you, and you'll find tailoring as easy as possible. Now, if you've watched this video to this end, please subscribe to this channel. As you've watched to the end, turn on the notification button so that you will get notified when I upload a new video. I have a class coming up which is going to be on hip padding. Now, this is not for beginners but for intermediate and advanced designers. So if you're any of them, please kindly hit me up with the number in the description box and you'll be added to the class. See you in my next video. Bye.